book.
All right. You want me to read to you?
No, I want to pick something to read.
Okay. I already got a thing, though.
Is it better than what I'm going to get?
Look, authentic empowerment. I'm
Yeah.
not worried about no better. Here you go, baby.
That was kind of passive. Oh, okay. Wow, aren't you just...
Enlightened?
Yeah. Are you Gary's intern? All right, so we're on trust.
Yep, we're on.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trust, and I'm going to stop there. Is up to your non-physical teachers and the universe. Take your hands off the steering wheel. Be able to say to the universe, thy will be done, and to know it's within your intentions. Spend time in this thought. Consider what it means to say, thy will be done, and allow your life to go into the hands of the universe completely. The final piece of reaching for authentic power is releasing your own to a higher form of wisdom.
That was pretty good.
That was really good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. What does this... Oh, I want to be where you're at. What does this...
Thank you. I'd like to be where you're at, too.
Where were you reading?
I think
On the
second
left
paragraph, left page.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
beautiful.
Yeah, got it. What does this mean to you? Consider what it means to say, thy will be done, and allow your life to go into the hands of the universe completely.
It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I feel personally like I'm living in, well, of course. So here's actually what I want to say. I know in my soul that the life that has been birthed around me, the gifts of life as they currently are way better than if I had the power to orchestrate it and control it myself. And that comes up often for me, that life is so rich and life is so much better than even the plan I came up with for how I was going to be. I used Kali Yoga Center a lot as a time stamp marker because it's a clear indication of when something began and where it is now. And it's just, I mean, hearing that, it has a lot, especially with the phrasing thy will be done, it has a lot of Christian roots in it. And it's also so refreshing to really be up for it, considering the possibility that I don't have to come up with a game plan.
Was the faith that you move with in the world, is that something that you always had, you feel, or is it something that you developed along the way?
I don't remember not having it. And I almost didn't want that to be the answer for the people who feel like they don't have it right now. Because I also don't believe that you have to have it from the get to have it. But
So
I don't
for
remember
those-
not having it.
So for those people, can you walk them through what it can feel like to release control?
Mm-hmm.
What it can look like in one's life who's wants great things for themselves, wants a shift in their job, wants a shift in their relationships, wants to see new friendships, wants to get into their dream life.
Yeah.
And I think this is interested to hear what you say, because I think so much of what has been in the spiritual teachings as of late is about like manifesting and getting what you want and calling in what you want. And so this is to put down that you know what is best for you at the personality level, and to allow your soul to guide you is something different. So
so it goes back to intuition for me, and thy will be done in my life. That has not meant I'm aimless and just available to thy will. Meaning, like, I'm not going to say, okay, I'm not making a single additional plan. I'm not, it's like I lay in bed, or said character like lays in bed and they're supposed to be at their job like 30 minutes ago. And they're like, well, thy will be done. We'll just see what happens. Well, what happens is you're going to get fired. So it's not like an aimlessness. And what it is it's a connection to intuition for me. Because when I can feel in my body, and this goes back to getting in your body as a tuning fork for the difference between intellect, planning, and soul guidance. They resonate different. And they work together too. Sometimes the soul will guide me somewhere, and then its next instruction is go to the intellect. Do this exercise. Really? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, because what I'm going to learn in that intellectual process of solving a problem is an important part of my evolution. And so it's like, okay, now go do the worksheet. Go do.
Got it.
We love the intellect.
So a person watching this is like, I'm writing down my goals every day. Reading my affirmations that I have a sticky note of on the mirror. Envisioning myself in my dream relationship. And
you're doing too much. You're doing way too much. If thy will be done, chill. Let me say a little bit more on it.
Yeah.
So when it comes from source, when it comes from intuition, going back to body as a tuning fork on that, like for me, there's a resonance. And then with that, we could use the word faith. There's a calming of like, oh, well, it's thy will. It's going to work. And so I don't have to work at it. Doesn't mean I don't have to do the next steps and be a faithful follower of the universe.
I'm hearing in that there's a distinction between taking the next step, and like ruminating, coddling, obsessing, like overworking.
And it goes to intention, which another phrase we could use for intention is root belief. And if my root belief is that what I've been shown is not going to work, then my intentions are going to be around the realm of gonna make it work, which is it's a gear grinding.
Part of me believes it's not gonna work.
Yeah. So like that's my intention, is it's not gonna work.
Or my intention is
Trust.
Split. My intention is split. Like, part of me thinks it's going to work, but part of me doesn't.
The other part's in fear.
Okay, so, Lindsay, part of me thinks I can have a new house, but part of me is there a bird in here?
It did sound like there's a bird.
Well, we'll see if they make a special appearance. Part of me thinks I could start this business, but part of me is like so scared, and I feel like, so how do I get unsplit? How do I get integrated? How do I not try too hard?
Yeah.
What does that mean? What do I do? How do I let thy will be done?
Yeah. Well, first we'll start with the language shift. there's no part of me thinks, let's you start a business. Part of me thinks I can start a business. Okay, I don't care. I have been told to start a business. That divine telling. And then part of me thinks it might not work. Yeah, that's fine. I have been told to buy a house that's bigger for the family. And part of me scared about a higher mortgage payment, and I don't think we can do it. I have been told to break up with this person. And part of me is fearful about being alone and thinks that it might be able to work out if I could just get them to change everything about themselves. I have been told, like, that's like the divine listening. And then the chatter.
How do
that
I
is
know
the I think.
What does it feel like to be told something?
It's clear. It feels like, to me, it feels like a calming wash over me.
And will force listeners to face, do I want to start this business because it's what I've been told that there is for me to do in the world? Or do I want to start this business because it'll make me feel worthy? Because my desire to start a business is because, like, I want to be known. I want to have some clout. I want to have external power. I want to have something around it. And I've gotten into some of those conversations. But I mean, I've started and closed businesses that were created from fear.
Yeah. And created, I didn't know you back then, but in the realm of the thinking mind, it's like created from the individual coming up with a plan for themselves, which Gary is saying, let go of it. Let go of this idea. Chris, let go of this idea that you need to be the plan maker, because thy will can't be done if you're overriding it with some shitty plan.
There's a difference between create the plan and attune to what there is to do. Maybe it is attuned to a plan, but it's like create or attune to something that's out there. And so in that point, that discernment between, is it me making this up, or am I being gifted it? Well, you talk about that, the discerning right there.
Well, yeah, let me say this first, because this just came through to me in the sentence, thy will be done. It just like, got illuminated. The sentence is thy will. I'm going to point up. Thy will be done. So it's thy will. I'm still the doer. Like, there's still a responsibility and a requirement. I'm not looking to say, it's your will, universe, you do it. It's thy will being done by me, which is so different than let me sit back on the side of the road and say, well, if I eat, thy will has been done. If I don't, thy will has been done. Because there's so much action in living the life of your soul's path. And it requires faith, trust, courage, willingness to surrender, the wants of external power. But I just wanted to illuminate that it's not like, oh, it's your will, then you do it. No, the relationship is thy will be done. I'm the doer of thy will.
Where do you think, from in consideration of like Maslow's hierarchy for needs, do you think there is any exceptions to a point in a person's life where thy will be done is insufficient? so if I think about the hierarchy of needs, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm struggling to make my bills meet, or make ends meet by paying my bills, like, or it's a single parent, or it's someone who's homeless for a time, like, so what's your feelings towards, like, the resistance that is, oh, like, if I could just, well, once I get to a more stable place, then I can let thy will be done. But right now I gotta make sure that I can survive. I gotta make sure that I can survive.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have seen that that's some of these spiritual teachings, some of these ways of being, I feel like the resistance to them is like some sort of like that you have to be at a certain level in the hierarchy, in Maslow's hierarchy, for them to be applicable.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what you think about that.
I love the broadness of the question, and I want to recognize that it has so many what ifs, but I think this answer works for all of them. We'll always be able to come up with reasons why not to do what we've been asked to do when we've been asked to do it, which is the insertion of our will into the call. And so I think, I think no matter where you are socioeconomically, I trust that there is divine guidance for you, and that we are all being asked to do thy will. And I don't pretend to know what God wants for everybody. So I can't get in to say what it could be depending on what country you live in, what hair color you have. And like I shared this with you last night, with one of our team members saying to me here, like, you either believe God is everything or you believe God is nothing. I believe in, no matter where a human is on the earth, going to seek guidance from the soul, going to the source. That is the path of evolution for us all. And I don't think there's any exceptions of like, well, I need to keep grinding it out with my version of where I think I need to get before I start listening to God.
There's no point in time in your life where it's not time to listen to God. There's no point in time where God is not available. And the call up out of survival mode might be letting go of control.
Mm.
And letting go of control doesn't mean stop doing shit.
Mm-mm.
It means changing your intention.
Mm-hmm. And maybe it means doing the thing that is really scary and from the level of the intellect seems like it's a really
bad idea.
I was the queen of those in my 20s with traveling. I had a couple like pretty loud people in my life being like, that is a bad idea. You are heading out and you got $300 and you think you're about to be gone for 2 months. And I was so clear because it was Source saying, you go adventure right now. You go see. I need you to see how other people live. I need you to taste what other people eat. I need you to hear how other people speak. I need you to watch how other cities move. Go do it. And I mean, if I was taking in the advice of other people's will, wanting to have me do other people's will, other people wanting me to do their will, I'd still be waiting to have enough money to travel right now, 15 years later?
Practices to clear out other people's voice out of your head, clear out the doubts out of other people's head, or maybe it's practices to learn how to choose what's my true voice. What do I even think? What do I even want?
Yeah.
Practices for clarity.
You might know this about me. I irritate easily. It's also a gift. When I'm divinely managing it, it's a gift. Because fear and doubt coming out of the mouths of other people very quickly registers in my body. And it's a sensation that is a clamp down on like joint areas. And so sometimes when I'm not willing to channel sensation and use my body as a resonance indicator, I will react to that person because I'm reacting to the sensation in my body that I don't want and I don't like. And then like when I'm real lost and confused, it's like, you just did this to me with what you said. And really what my body's telling me is like, that's fear. And so we're going to send a physical indicator so that you can feel what you feel and go, wow, when that person told me I better go get a $250,000 loan before I start a business, my body said, you want to clear that out. Because here's how just hearing the idea felt. And so that's one way I clear. Because like, just listen to my body. And then I like another like really cool thing. And I think there's a nuanced way to do this without like shutting people down in your life is like, it's like not entertaining conversations that like are for other people to feel better about what Source has asked you to do. And there's a very like reverent way to do that. It's not like, stop, I don't want, don't talk about it. I mean, Mom, I'm hanging up, Mom. But it's also like, hey, I've heard you, and like, I'm not going to convince you of what there is for me to do because it's not for you to do, so it'll never register in your body as the thing to do. So instead, like, I'd love to have a conversation with you about like what you're up to, because, you know, maybe in that moment I'm in a place where I can cheer you on and you might not be in a place to cheer me on. So I'm not going to like do the work to try to convince you to cheer me on, because I'm real concerned in the most loving way about what my boss thinks about this, not what my coworkers think about it. And what I mean, like Source, it's like I got divine instruction, and if your department doesn't understand what my department's up to, well, we're all just going to report back up. So you want to go get some Flower Child.
What does it feel like to be moving in alignment with Source's will?
It feels like when Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz steps out of like the tornado fallen house into Oz, and everything's in these bright colors and it's all beautiful and it's all new. That's what it feels like.
Are there any points in your life where your faith, your trust in Source has been challenged? Did you ever deal with being, did you ever disconnect from Source in anger, or feeling like you weren't getting what you were supposed to have, or feeling like something unfair or wrong or something wrong happened.
Mm-hmm.
Was this faith, this strong faith that you have in Source, this alignment that you have, and being attuned, was that ever shaken?
Yeah. I think the area that I've been the weakest in letting go and letting thy will be done has been in romantic relationships, has been in spiritual partnership and the seeking out of a love in my life that will be thy will. And so I've done a fair amount of suffering and holding on and attempted negotiations with both God and the person in front of me who's like, or not you, but like the person who's like either I'm breaking up with while I'm also trying to negotiate their changing, or they're breaking up with me while I'm trying to negotiate our forever after. And it's just, and like times of really deeply being distraught that thy will wasn't going to be done. And or that like thy will was actually for me to be alone and miserable and like learn some lesson through suffering because I wasn't worthy of love, or what all these different versions I came up with. And that's the area that I've seen myself try to control more than anything, and like fight the let go and fight and not put down the plan, and I know we can all relate to this. And well, I don't know so much about men, but women, we can relate to going out on one date with somebody. And it's cute, it's true, but like being like, okay, if we had kids, like, okay, I'm going to imagine what those kids might look like, or like projecting out into some like, all right, he does this for a living, so that means we would have this type of life. And that means just like coming up with the plan and like trying to decide from the intellect, does this work? Does this not work? Hey, Stacy, how was your date with Bob? Well, it was okay, but some petty thing that's like not part of that individual's projected plan on what their will is around spiritual partnership or union between two people. And I think about my younger self sometimes, especially now that we have a daughter. And my mom was so compassionate with me. She let me cry. I remember being in the bed with her one day, and I was not going to high school that day because me and my high school boyfriend had just broken up, and we sat at the same lunch table. And I'd never sat at a different lunch table, and I wasn't going to. So I was going to go sit back across from him because it was not the time to find a new flock of birds. And I just remember laying in bed and crying, and I'm like, I'm not going today because I'm just heartbroken. And she was so patient with me. She was so like, I understand. I mean, she threw in a couple, there's other people, you're going to be fine. I was like, no. But I think about that. I think about my process with some men a lot now that we have a daughter, because there's so much I just want to say to her, like, thy will be done. You don't have to claw at it. You don't have to fight for it. You don't have to manipulate around it. You don't have to hold on, because it's going to be perfect.
Has your attitude, what grace do you receive while you're in suffering because of your knowing that thy will is being done? How does that look as you face the situations of pain in your life? Yeah.
I'm a good crier. And just like when you were speaking to being able to see yourself the other day in one of our rumbles and like see that you were like in an emotional experience and you had that like observing of it. I feel like one of the graces that this suffering gives me is like I can really cry and literally kick and scream, thrash out and like experience the pain. And also like I'm seeing myself do it. And in that there's this sweetness of a reminder of I'm a human and I'm learning and I'm evolving. And like I really like those moments because I feel I can like it feels like my soul holding my being with this sweetness of like I know it hurts sometimes. Like sometimes we choose the path of pain. Sometimes we choose the path of holding on, which is the path of fear. And like, and it's still a sweet, sweet teacher. And that's a grace for me. And it's a good slice of humble pie.
Let go of what you think is just reward. Let go. Trust. Create. Be who you are. The rest is up to your non-physical teachers and the universe. I like there how Gary put these few sentences, a couple of them are just one-word sentences. Let go of what you think is just reward. Let go. Trust. Create. That's my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
Be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
That lands for me like part of the, for me moving in my alignment with thy will is like, do what, just do it. You know, like actually just do stuff without like the thy will as I receive it and feel it. It's like there's a freedom in it that like it doesn't have the weight of a plan. It doesn't have the weight of needing to see the future and how it's all going to turn out. And
I have a part I'd like you to go in on.
Okay.
I think the phrase is, actually, will you hand it back to me so I can read it?
It's up here on the.
Okay. This is what I want to hear you talk about. Let go of what you think is just reward.
For me, that is like releasing expectation. It is, it relates to, or it makes me think about times in my life where I have been frozen with anxiety because I wasn't sure what action to take to get an outcome that I was looking for, that my intellect perceived that if I got that outcome, it would be the remedy for unworthiness, for my unworthiness.
And am I hearing and the just reward for
So
those
the just
actions?
reward would be I'll feel worthy.
Yeah.
So it's read it again.
Let go of what you think is just reward.
So it's like just let go of doing anything with hopes of feeling worthy.
Yeah.
From doing it.
Yeah. That goes
like let go of that hunt.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, actually, I just didn't even know I was on that hunt for so long, you know?
A lot of Eastern teachings hone in on the phrase in different versions of saying this, that you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. And that's what I hear in this too, is like, let go of what you think is just reward. Like that, like the fruits of your actions, they're not even for you.
Yeah. How whether the universe chooses to have my actions be something that disgusts someone and is judged, and that's how it blooms in the universe, or if like 4 billion people are like, this is awesome. Either of those are like not my responsibility, none of my business, and my intellect has paralyzed my action taking a lot in life through working really hard to try and figure out. Maybe it could start like, okay, well, if my life looked like this, or if I was this kind of man, or if this was my career, or if I got this fit, or if I got, I mean, I could fill in the blank like 10 more times, but if I got there, then I would feel worthy, and I would feel worthy because I would have this impact, or I would help these amount of people, or I would solve this problem, or I would be the best that there's ever been at this thing. And if I was the best there's ever been, or if I brought this gift to the world and helped these many people in this way, then that would make me feel worthy. So I'm going to do this action and make sure I get that feeling, and that feeling is going to then make me feel worthy. And it's like, what? And yeah, so create, be who you are.
Be who you are. Different sentence than be who you want to be, or be who you think you can be.
Be who you think you should be.
Be who you are.
Be who you think the world needs.
Be who you're working towards being. Be who you are. Christopher Jamal Wilson, it's been an absolute pleasure doing these 50 Days of Evolution podcast with you.
Likewise, baby. Likewise.
So I think to end it out, I'd like to read this one more time. Let go of what you think is just reward. Let go. Trust. Create. Be who you are. The rest is up to your non-physical teachers and the universe. Sayonara.